travelers, and welcome to a new episode of Never Seen It. This is a podcast about movies that we haven't seen yet. I'm your host. My name is Betsy, and with me is Trent.
Hello, Betsy.
How you doing, Trent?
We're in space.
We're in space. That's right, because for the month of April, it is Sci-fi Sunday, and this is our third week of 4. And today we are going back to the 1970s for, I guess, what you would call more classic sci-fi?
Anything pre-Star Wars, I would say, is classic sci-fi.
Because today we are going to be watching Logan's Run, a movie that you and I think, have heard of. We've heard the name of this movie many times. And we have never sat down to watch it just because we have a pretty blind spot when it comes to sci-fi as a genre, I would say, and stuff from the 70s.
Sci-fi in general, and again, anything prior to Star Wars.
So I think this one's a little bit of a mystery to the two of us. But Trent, what do you know about Logan's Run?
So there's two things that I know. Well, really one thing, but one thing kind of outside of it. The first thing is that the main actor, star of the movie, is the guy from the Austin Powers movies who plays Basil.
Yes,
that's all I know.
Michael York is the actor's name.
Mike York.
Mikey Yorkie.
So I know him, but I don't really know anything about the plot. I don't know who else is in the movie. I don't know if it's fucking Earth, if it's humans, if it's aliens. I don't know if there's battles and war and spaceships. I don't have a clue. But the other thing that I have actually heard about Logan's Run as a thing is that in the late, I think, aughts or the early 2010s, there was a guy working on a remake of this movie. And the guy's name is Ken Levine. And if our listeners recognize that name, it's because that guy was responsible for the BioShock video games.
I don't know Ken Levine, but I am familiar with BioShock.
Yeah, so I think he took it upon himself, or he was tasked to do that for a studio. Obviously, nothing has come out.
No, but BioShock, it's not a big leap because it is in the world of sci-fi. So he's at least got an understanding of the genre. So I can see why somebody like that might be interested in the property.
And of course, studios are still trying to remake stuff and bring back old franchises. We just did Tron, for fuck's sake. There's going to be a third one of those coming out this year. But honestly, I mean, I don't know if you know anything about Logan's Run. I certainly don't.
I really don't. We were trying to figure out what movies we wanted to cover for this series, and we watched a trailer for this. If I'm remembering the trailer right, it's something about youth and beauty. Like it's a society that really values those things. You know, that's unheard of. Nobody in the world values youth and beauty.
I mean, honestly, we saw that. Apparently, we saw the trailer. I don't remember. I trust that we did, but I don't remember anything about it.
That's why it went on the list, because we watched the trailer and went, I would like to watch that movie.
Okay.
But it was a hot minute ago because we planned this stuff pretty far in advance sometimes. Yeah. But other than what we saw in that trailer, which you clearly don't even remember, we don't know a whole lot about Logan's Run. So we're just going to go watch it, and we will be right back. And we're back. That was Logan's Run from 1976. Trent, have you been renewed?
No, nobody ever gets renewed, Betsy. What are you talking about? So I'm glad that we as a society were treated to something like Star Wars so that we could get sci-fi into a modern era. However, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit in a way that I never thought I would, because this is kind of hokey. This is like 1960s style sci-fi that is unrecognizable to anybody who has seen a whole lot of sci-fi post Star Wars. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep on talking about the post-Star Wars world and the pre-Star Wars world because it is stark.
I think it's important, though. I think you're definitely noting something that is a shift in the genre, because before Star Wars became this massive, massive hit, the amount of sci-fi that most people had seen that was like majorly successful were few and far between. They were always like B movies or the movies for the nerds. It was not for the mass audiences.
They also didn't try. It was kind of like early horror, where it was low budget and somebody had an idea and they wanted to execute on it. And it wasn't until Star Wars that you got a whole bunch of really smart guys who basically cribbed, like George Lucas will freely admit that he cribbed a lot of Star Wars from a lot of like Japanese samurai stuff and serials
from Dune. Yeah. Having seen Dune, I can definitively say George Lucas has seen Dune.
100%. So looking at this movie, I am reminded of some old like 60s cartoons that I remember seeing when I was a kid. It's that kind of style, but yeah, they just don't know. They don't know how to be unique. Does that make sense?
It's more campy. It's not high budget. This is definitely a low budget ass looking movie. But I was thinking the same thing. For being made in 1976, this feels more like it was made in the late 60s.
Yeah.
The way it is designed, the way it is filmed, the way everybody is dressed. It feels like we made this movie and then it sat on a shelf. And maybe that is simply because of the kind of movie it is. It is a low budget sci-fi movie.
It's also a book that was, written in the 60s, so that maybe has something to do with it. But still, the stylization is totally 60s.
I'm just saying, if you put this up against Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes came out in the late 60s, 1968, okay? And on paper, because you and I, sorry, listeners, Trent and I have not seen Planet of the Apes.
Nope.
But I've seen images of Planet of the Apes. I've seen clips from the movie. If you look at what's going on there, and then you look at Logan's Run, they have an extremely similar vibe, and they were made 8 years apart.
Totally. This is a world that exists on planet Earth, and the people who live there, the people, have no idea what the past was. They don't know what caused this to happen. They live in a dream world. And this dream world in Logan's Run is a utopia that was built for these people. It's been hundreds and hundreds of years since the civilization that you and I know. It's almost 500 years. Like the US in this world is almost 500 years old. But it's been so long since the catastrophe or whatever the hell they called it. And so much of that knowledge has just literally died out, and they don't teach it anymore because why would they? They've just been fed this bullshit for however many years. Kind of the curiosity is gone too. Nobody really asks the question. Nobody is curious. And the people who are, they're ostracized.
It's kind of the willful ignorance that is just perpetuated. They have established certain rules for their society. Everybody just has fucking fun all the time. It is a pleasure palace.
Yeah.
They all are born in a lab. They do not have a familial structure. They just are assigned a name and a number. You have sex all the time. You party all the time. Your entertainment is to watch all the people who are 30 years old get, renewed, quote unquote. They're like, yes, you're going to be reincarnated as a baby. And I was watching the beginning of the movie going, okay, please explain to me. I hope they explain this.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, I really hope that they're going to explain what is literally happening here. But no, none of it is actually happening. They're just blowing these fuckers up.
Right. It's not that we need an explanation. The explanation is it's all a lie.
Yeah.
Like in a lot of sci-fi, the truth that you know is not the truth.
So the one thing that I really don't understand is the babies. Where are these babies coming from? Are they literally clones of the people that we're meeting here, and that's why they're assigned a number? Like, the Logan that we meet here is Logan 5. So is he just the 5th version of a Logan? And he's literally looking at the breeder pod. That's Logan number 6. So eventually, Logan 6 is going to take his place.
Potentially. They don't explain all that because he seems more curious and interested in the process, because either they're omitting some things, like they all have to contribute their genetic seed, as it were, or it's like you said, they're just clones. But
I honestly think it's just clones, that they just don't talk about it that way.
But they also say there is a birth mother, so to speak. So they're taking parts of the different people. Like they say at the beginning, she could be anyone.
There is a donor egg or a donor mother,
kind of
something
donor
like that.
Science is happening here.
Yeah, and all of that is completely hidden from these people.
But there's also some unanswered questions, I think, about their own biology, because they can all just like fuck all the time and nobody accidentally finds themselves having a baby. That never happens.
Yeah, because when you're that young, you're very fertile, so
and horny and in a pleasure dome.
Clearly. I don't know if you knew this, Betsy, but this is a PG movie.
That is
and
wild.
All of my favorite PG movies are filled with nudity.
Lots of butts, lots of boobs.
Jesus.
Yeah, the 70s were a different time. And what qualified as PG was very different. Because really, that's it. Just the boobs. The very, very temporary appearance of those on screen is the only thing.
There's some butts in there. I don't see any front parts anywhere, at least that we can see. It's very dark in that room. But I also read about there were some extended scenes that got cut from this movie, and I guess cut from the book a portion as well. The Pleasure Palace scene was supposedly like 4 minutes long, and they showed a whole lot more. And when they go to arcade, by the way, if you didn't notice, when they talk about going to different places in this city, it's always just the name, not the arcade or the cathedral. It's just cathedral and arcade. But when they go to arcade, there are apparently some cut scenes here where everybody's doing drugs. Because pleasure.
That is all they live for. They literally live to just have the fullest, craziest lives.
Yeah, because you're only living until you're 30.
With one caveat. You, at 30, have to do this routine, this ritual, where you are going to either die, and that's it, or you'll be renewed. And they all believe, yeah, sure, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get renewed.
But they all fucking blow up. They're all dead.
And nobody bothers to question the fact that you've never actually seen somebody get renewed.
Right.
Nobody ever notices that every person who goes in there dies.
And here's the other question. And honestly, this episode is just going to be us asking questions because they don't do a very good job of explaining things. They don't take a lot of time because this movie is barely under 2 hours. Who set all this up? Like, seriously, there is a disembodied female voice that the Sandmen report to. When they go into that big room with all the weird colored clocks on the wall, they report in and like give all the evidence over that they find on these other bodies that they're killing, and then they have to report in. Well, it's like a computer voice that they're talking to, and it's not, I don't think it's actually a person that they're talking to. It's just a computer.
You are forgetting the thing at the beginning of the movie. There is a screen that has a lot of text telling you, okay, here's the setup of the movie.
Yeah.
And they're all in this city, this domed city. They all get to live until they're 30. They just get to have pleasure all the time. But they say something about the robots take care of them. Like, there are robots there.
Right.
So you could almost extrapolate that there is something more nefarious. Like, the robots run everything, but they also have kind of subjugated the humans willingly.
This is fucking the Matrix.
I'm just saying.
Holy shit.
Trent, why else would all these people become sheeple? They just take for granted all of who set this up. How does this all work?
Yeah. They don't notice any of the fucked upness because it's been so fucking long.
And they've been there for generations, and they don't have parents to teach them history. Yeah. Nobody reads a fucking book in this place. Nobody writes it down. You just are told, this is the way it is, this is the way it's been, and this is the way it's gonna be.
And whatever is in charge here is just going along whatever the routine is, whether or not this is like an active thing where there are sentient robots moving pieces around to try to get everything done the way they want. I honestly believe here, because it's been so long, that these machines are just stuck in a loop. They just keep on going and keep on going and keep on going, except for this one thing where these runners, supposedly there is a place that they call sanctuary, and that is a word that anybody in this city, they don't know what that word means because it's never taught to them. But Logan is tasked to find sanctuary and become a runner. And how they become a runner is you have in your palm a little crystal. It is implanted in your hand. Hey, it's kind of the Matrix as well. But this crystal tells you and everybody else around you what stage in your life you are. This machine artificially ages him so that he is basically on his last year. And people in their last year, they decide, you know what? Fuck this. I don't want to die. I don't want to be 30. I'm going to get the fuck out of here. So he is tasked to go and find this place where the machine thinks that there's a whole lot of people, like over 1,000 people have escaped.
They're unaccounted for.
Right. How do they find out? Why do they know that? Where are they getting this information?
Because the robots are evil, Trent. The robots are evil, the people are stupid, and the robots need to be in control.
So, okay.
It's a subtle thing, but I assume that there is some degree of that, especially because then fucking Box shows up and freezes people.
I was just going to say, they actually encounter a robot named Box when they go into the fucking ice palace. What is Box? What the fuck is that all about?
He keeps saying his original job was they would bring in food for the fish, and he was supposed to take care of the food for the fish.
Right.
But then the food stopped coming, I assume because the people stopped coming.
Yeah.
And it's that automation cycle where the first thing that came in, he assumes it's food because he's a fucking robot.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I said before. These machines are just stuck in a loop doing what they're doing, and they're not really taking care of what's going on here.
The machines are stuck in a loop. The people are stuck in a loop. Everybody just keeps perpetuating their own lies.
The thing I wrote down about Box is his job is freeze. Much like Ken's job is beach.
You don't understand, everybody. My job is freeze. And then he just like appears out of nowhere with fucking blade hands and is like, come
a fucking gun.
Come on, I'm going to freeze you.
Jesus Christ, man. Wow. And from that point on, after they have their encounter with Box, they finally get outside, and I had no idea that this is where this was going to go. They come across the ruins of Washington, D.C. that is completely overrun with plant life. There's nothing living except for cats and an old man. And where this old man came from, I have no idea, but he's got a lot of friends around him.
And again, they're just giving you little hints of what happened in the world. Why did everybody abandon the cities? Was there a nuclear disaster? Was there wars, famine? Like, what happened that the city lies like this now?
Well, we really don't know. They don't say.
And that old man says it was him and his mom and dad, and then they died a long time ago, and he has been alone and never sees anybody. These are the first two people he has seen in God knows how long. It's just him and his cats otherwise.
And presumably, if he could survive, other people could have survived as well. We also have no idea if this guy, his family, was from the city that these other two came from. They could have been.
It's possible.
I don't know whether or not this old man was like a descendant of some of the original people, and they've just been surviving since the cataclysm or whatever the fuck.
It's Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, where all those kids are by themselves perpetuating their own stories. Except he doesn't have a group of hoodlums to tell stories with.
That's right.
It's just him and the fucking cats.
I mean, they got that fucking group of feral guys at that cathedral. So it's kind of similar to that.
Yeah, so they sort of explore the idea because while they're going over there, they express that those people, I think, were born from a woman. They were born the natural way.
I guess, yeah.
But that means they're like ostracized from the rest of the group and they're just feral in the back of the building somewhere. Like they're allowed to stay, but don't dare go in there because they're gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, everything is very much cut off, but there's another runner there from the regular city that they're trying to go after. That's his job anyway, to go after that person. And once he scares off all the feral people, he finds her, and I don't really remember what happens after that.
But even that group, like they talk about, you're going to go green because they all have the crystals that are clear when they're born.
Yeah.
And then when the clock starts to tick, it goes green. And then when you get into your last phase, it goes red. And then when it's really your last phase, it flashes.
Yeah.
So it goes through different phases. So even the feral children in Cathedral know that they've got a time limit before everybody in that group says, get the hell out because you become dangerous or something.
Do the feral people have the crystals?
He literally was saying that. And yeah, they were shown having them. Like he kept saying, it happens to you too.
I don't know how that happens.
It's biological. This is why I'm saying they're grown in a lab because you aren't just born with a crystal in the palm of your hand. So if it's genuinely a part of you, it probably is in your palm when you are born. Like you come out with the crystal, and it's something that they implant while you are gestating.
I guess that would make sense. Man, what a wild movie.
It definitely is, and we have a lot more to talk about, but first, let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsor. What's the matter, Billy? You look bored just sitting there clicking that pen.
Well, Becky, I've already listened to this week's episode of Never Seen It, and there's nothing left for me to do. Guess I'll just sit here and click this pen until next Sunday.
Wait, Billy, what if I told you that the Never Seen It crew puts out 4 other shows every month?
4 shows? How do I get those?
It's easy. Just go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, and for $5 per month, you get access to all their extra content.
Wow, that sounds a whole lot better than clicking this pen.
It sure does, Billy. It sure does. So I think it's pretty apparent that even as people who don't watch a ton of sci-fi, you can see kind of the influence that this movie has had on other things, because there were other movies I was absolutely thinking of. First one, Equilibrium. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You have to join forces. You have to pretend to be the thing to infiltrate the group that's causing you problems.
Oh, wow.
Only to then, become on their side because everything you know is a lie.
That's crazy. Yeah, you're right. I've only seen Equilibrium once, and I really enjoyed it. I've been wanting to rewatch it again forever. Honestly, I just want them to put out a 4K version of that. But yeah, you're right. Like, there's one thing they're trying to keep from the people, and that's emotion. And it's one of the most human things that you have is your emotions. So there's such a repression on the people in that movie, where it's just the opposite in Logan's Run, where your whatever can run rampant. All of your pleasure sensors are firing at the same time. It doesn't matter. You get to live however you want to live, except the reality is kept from you.
And there's a specific group tasked with controlling this. So in Equilibrium, they're the clerics, and they're the ones that go around finding the sense offenders, as it were.
Yeah.
And in this one, they're going after the people who are supposed to be eliminated. They're supposed to go to Carousel. They're supposed to go to this thing when they're 30, and they don't. They run instead. They are so afraid. They don't want to die. This group is sent to kill them.
Yeah, because they need to keep up the lie that you can't live past 30, period. And honestly, they never explain that to the audience either. Why you cannot live past 30. And it's just your job is to die when you turn 30.
And I think it's just population control. That's literally all it is. They have a mechanism built in.
Yeah, the dome is only so big.
And it's easier to take care of young people than it is old people. Like, all of your worst problems that happen to your body happen after a certain age.
Yeah, and the question I was kind of thinking of here when just watching the movie, what happens if somebody, has an accident while they're having sex? What happens if they, oops, I drowned, or oops, I fell off of the 2nd floor, 3rd floor mall kiosk? Seriously, this place looks like it's a fucking mall.
I think it was. I think they genuinely
this is
just
just
filmed
an
this in a
abandoned
mall.
Yeah. But what happens if you have an accident and you die? Also, there is childhood leukemia. I'm sorry, it happens.
Not in this perfect utopia they've created for themselves.
I guess.
But they clearly have some kind of hospital or something there. Like there's the scene where they run into one of the Sandmen and he's all cut up because he had a runner just like slash him or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, so I'm going to go over to that place to get it fixed up. And they joke, get yourself a new face while you're there.
Right.
Because people can just get a new face.
Yeah, the technology is there where they just scan a fucking laser on your face and it heals you up right away. But at the same time, plastic surgery is apparently very, very easy.
Okay, let me ask you a question about this scene because this felt unresolved to me. He goes to this doctor and decides he's going to get a new face, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The doctor demonstrates how it's going to work, and it slices and heals instantaneously. He's got this machine. He's worked out all the kinks. It's great.
Yeah.
The doctor then gets a phone call and suddenly decides he has to, like, torture this guy. Who the fuck called him?
It's a great question because immediately he says, yes, they're here. And yes, I'll do what you're asking for. Essentially, he was given a murder order.
Was it the robotic overlords? Was that who it was?
I don't know.
Because, yeah, that scene just kind of got out of control really quickly.
They got fucking gory very quickly.
Yes.
Holy shit. Especially, again, this is a PG movie.
I will remind you, PG-13 didn't exist.
I know
so
that.
So this was either going to be a PG or an R, and this is not an R movie.
Was there such a, I guess this is such a thing as a hard PG.
That's basically what it has to be because at the time, it was still pretty new, and we've touched on this a few times in recent memory. The rating system had only existed for a few years.
Yeah, the only one that existed past the Hays Code and didn't include the PG-13 rating was this one. G, PG, R, and X. There wasn't an NC-17 at the time.
No, so you're not going to file this one under R for just being what it is presently.
There's no swearing in the movie whatsoever.
No. The gore is very fake. It's like very low budget, red blood, people flying through the air.
Except for that first killing when they finally catch the first runner that they're just shooting at. Very poorly, by the way.
Oh, he's a terrible shot.
No, these guns fucking suck. But they get him. He dies after falling over the railing, and then somebody comes and hovers over him with this fucking hover thing. They like laminate him with this material that causes his body to melt away and turn into hamburger and then disappear.
That was gnarly. That was nasty.
That was fucked up.
It's just like the lack of value in the human form. Like, this is all stuff that is prevalent throughout this movie where it's just like, you are going to die at 30. And if you don't want to face that, we're going to kill you.
At 30, you cease having any value whatsoever. You are essentially already dead. Unless you are walking into this building where you're going to get blown the fuck up, you have a death sentence following you around everywhere.
And if you don't go in there, we're going to kill you anyway.
Yeah.
So once you're dead, just get rid of the body. There's no purpose to it because all the rest of them faced their deaths, went into this fiery carousel, and got blown up there, and everybody cheered. Renew! Renew!
So that's the thing. They're getting blown up. I mean, yeah, I understand it's probably even worse for you to try to do this, but where's all the blood and guts that's coming from these exploded bodies?
Maybe they spontaneously combust. Like they just literally
just disintegrate.
They just disintegrate. that crystal in the carousel is so powerful, it just blows them up from the inside and leaves nothing.
Jesus. Yeah, there is some really gnarly stuff that is going on in this movie that they don't dwell on it, which I appreciate, but that body melting and the guns, when they do connect, you're just on fire. When Francis shows up at the cathedral after, he's running after Logan and the chick, when he shoots the woman that was there and Logan let go, the other runner, he shoots him and then, there's just a fire on her belly and she's dying.
And then he calls the cleanup crew and she's going to have the same fate as that other runner.
Right. Keeping on the fate track, I kind of want to talk about, like, where do people get their jobs? Because we got the Sandmen, who are the cops of everybody. They collect people as they're turning 30 and make sure that they go die in this big circle. But then you also have the Jessicas of the world that are apparently, I mean, I wrote it in my notes that she's a sex slave, because when Logan goes back to his apartment after a job well done, he gets on his little remote and he is able to like dial in a person to just come to his room.
Okay, I don't think she's a sex slave because she explains it here. She was feeling sad and she put herself in the rotation.
Right.
So basically, you can kind of sign up to just be one of these people that will go and sleep around. And she was feeling bad about herself.
Yeah, not necessarily a slave.
No, and he very quickly let her out of it when she was like, I made a mistake.
Yeah,
let me leave.
Clearly you're not into this. You have a choice. I'm not going to force you to do anything. I would really like to, because when they're having their conversation, he says, well, sad or not, you're beautiful. Let's have sex.
And,
in the most awkward fucking way.
And I quote.
Quote, unquote. Oh, man. And first, when he dials up his thing, it shows up with the dude with a fucking leather daddy outfit.
Who's like winking at him.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, maybe not tonight. I'll go to the next channel. That's honestly how I think it was kind of tuning in.
Well, to go back and actually answer your question, how do people get their jobs? I think, again, it's genetically designed, because at the beginning of the movie, when they're at the nursery, he says it's been ages since we got a Sandman. And it's Logan 6. The baby is Logan 6, who is automatically assigned to be a Sandman because he is a Sandman.
I suppose, and he's probably getting to that age because he's red, I think.
Yes, he is red, but he's not flashing. He said he has 4 years left.
Right. So it would make sense that the next Logan is going to be a Sandman as well. So, yeah, that makes sense.
They need to replace the one that's about to be decommissioned.
So presumably they have X amount of Sandman, they have X amount of these other people, and then everybody else is just going about their business. That kind of sucks that you're one of just a few people that are tasked to actually be a cop, and everybody else gets to just, I don't know, hang out and fuck all day.
You mean you have to work?
Yeah,
you have to work?
You have a job.
You're a murderer.
What extra do you get for doing this job?
Maybe you get that sexy TV that makes girls appear in your bedroom.
Is it just the satisfaction of, hey, I'm better than these fucking runners?
Again, it's just what you have been told and what you believe, and you're perpetuating your own existence and you're perpetuating your own lie.
I guess.
You think what you're doing is righteous and correct.
Yeah, you're not questioning, why am I stuck in this dead-end job?
We literally says, when she comes in, when Jessica says, I was feeling sad, he doesn't understand the concept of feeling sad. What in the world would possess you to be sad? We live in this place where we can do anything we want. And then there is such joy when people see them during carousel, this ancient ritual where they're all in these like onesies with masks and they're flying through the air and exploding. Everybody in that room is cheering.
They're fucking pumped.
Because they have been told that they're going to renew, and if they don't renew, whatever. Like, they're all exploding, and they're just, like, okay with it. And nobody questions the fact that no one ever gets renewed.
This is just the ritual. It's a ritual sacrifice for the sake of entertainment.
And it's violence for the sake of entertainment, because primitive people tend to do that. And even though this is an advanced society, the people within it are very primitive.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about how the movie looks, because as we touched on, it definitely looks at times like they filmed this in a mall, which is a little bit bizarre.
Yep. They also filmed a lot of this stuff at real locations where they were filming in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Like those steps with the waterfall coming down, that's just a feature. It's a water feature in that city.
At a building in Texas.
They just repurposed it for their movie. They also said that the producers or like the studio or something was pissed off at a couple of different points because when they were shooting some of the shots, they just looked at it and said, man, that's just Dallas. I know that that's just Dallas. So you need to cut that back or go back and reshoot and all this other shit. But apparently that saved them a whole lot of money, like millions and millions of dollars, because they just shot at these locations and didn't have to build anything.
they looked futuristic enough.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, they live in a wonderful world, a wonderful magical world of miniatures.
Yeah.
Also known as Epcot, I think, because
it honestly looks like the Epcot Center.
Not that I've been there, but I've
No.
seen pictures of it, and this is what it feels like. It's the city of tomorrow.
Right. It's got the fucking monorails going everywhere, these huge monolithic buildings that just house everybody, and they talk about you're in a quadrant.
Yeah, which quadrant are you in?
Yeah, but it's all domed over that you can't see any kind of real sunlight coming out. Like when they emerge from the ice caves, they see the sun for the first time. This is the second movie in a row where we're talking about what does a sunrise look like?
I don't know what it is, but it's warm.
Yeah.
It's warm. Yeah, I was laughing because it's like we just watched a movie where somebody's like being told what the sun is and it's described as warm. Because how do you describe the sun to somebody who doesn't know what the sun is?
Right.
Another thing about how the movie looks is how everybody is costumed. So this was mostly the reason I was thinking very late 60s as opposed to where this is in the mid-late 70s.
The colors didn't help that either.
It's just the styling of it. These like little onesie outfits, these togas that everybody's wearing.
Short things. Yeah.
But it is also very vibrant because you've got all these people in pinks and greens and reds and yellows. And they're very stark up against each other. And you actually were just reading that has to do with their status. So basically, when your crystal goes green, that is the color you wear. They literally put you in the color of your crystal so you are easy to identify.
And when you turn red, when you age up to red and your crystal turns red, you got to change outfits. You have to wear red.
And the Sandmen wear a uniform. They wear black. Because nobody has ever been concerned about one running.
Right.
That is not a problem on their mind.
Yeah. And when they finally do, and they go through this secret passage and they use this Ankh to get through, the thing I could not think of any other way to describe this when they're pointing, when the people that they encounter, they're pointing their spears, quote unquote, at these people. And literally, it just looked like the end of a turkey baster on all of those sticks. I could not think of anything else but that.
Listen, Trent, they only had so much budget for the movie. And sometimes you got to use turkey basters full of dry ice, I think, because they were like shooting smoke in their faces.
Some kind of fucking powdery type of stuff. But then when the camera goes to the other direction, they're glowing for some reason. And then when they shoot back, it's not glowing.
I saw a video the other day that literally is a website or something where they look up shows where they have a device, like a sci-fi device, and they locate the real item that the prop team used to turn it into that. They're like, yeah, that's a stereo.
Yeah, it's all like household items that we just kind of threw some silver paint on and, that's a futuristic thing now.
Yep, now it's from the future.
Right.
It's a turkey baster / glowing crystal that shoots smoke.
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of that shit in Star Wars, and you would never think to look at it that way because everything else is so futuristic.
They all drink out of like long test tubes, although their glasses are so tall and skinny in this. It's shit like that where it's like, we're in the future. We have to make it look this way.
Like, you can't see this, folks, but when Betsy did that, she kind of put her hand up like she's doing a little jig for everybody.
Magic. Ooh, future.
It's so fancy.
Like, literally, this movie got the attention of the Academy. At the Oscars, this got nominated for a few things. One of them was set design, like production design.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was called something different in the 70s. It was at the time where the Academy was still in the habit of just making up awards and handing them out if they felt like it.
Because in those days, you couldn't count on like 5 movies qualifying for the same award every year.
For special effects.
Yeah, because not every year there's going to be 5 movies that are going to qualify for that award.
Not in the 70s and 80s. Now, certainly.
Definitely.
Now every fucking movie has special effects in them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they gave them an award, a special merit, just for the effects in this movie.
Which, when you really look at it, some of the effects are really cheesy. The miniature work is obvious. There's some movies that you watch, especially from this era, and you don't really realize how much of it is miniatures, but you look at this stuff and it's kind of bad.
If you look at Blade Runner, that was the other movie I kept thinking about was Blade Runner, a guy assigned to chase a specific group of people. And the word runner doesn't hurt.
You're right.
But in that movie, they used a lot of miniatures. And there, because they're kind of using digital technology with it, it's just like, oh my God, look at this fucking pyramid in the middle of the city. It looks amazing.
You add a bunch of lights to something, to a bunch of miniatures. Yes, of course it is going to look a lot more realistic.
This one looks like little bugs in a cart going
Seriously?
down the street.
No. It, honestly, it looked like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood with the fucking train coming around the mountain.
Ding, ding. Here we go.
Yes. Honestly, that is what I was thinking about when they were lingering on those shots.
And then, of course, when they leave the dome, when they go out into the world and they find Washington, D.C., and it's in shambles and it's covered in plants and everything is overgrown. Like, that looked pretty good. You could tell it wasn't real, but it looked good. You know what I mean?
Well, the matte paintings that they were putting up there and kind of superimposing the actors on top of sometimes, that looked okay. It was believable enough. But then you turn the camera around and it's closer to it. They're literally just covering some steps with some leaves.
Right.
And that looked bad when you compare it to what the matte painting looks like. But when they are out there, they finally realize, oh, looking up at the Lincoln Memorial, that guy kind of looks like us, but he doesn't. Why is that?
I've never seen a face that looks like that.
I've never seen a face like that. That must be what you look like when you're old. They've never seen anybody like that.
And then just moments later, they end up finding Peter Ustinov in old man makeup and his many, many cats.
Hanging out in the U.S. Capitol.
And they have so many questions because they've never seen an old person. Like, do those cracks in your face hurt?
Can I touch them?
No, but my feelings are hurt now.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it's that thing of where they don't know how to proceed here. They know they have to go back and tell the truth, but it doesn't even occur to them to bring him along. Like, the easiest way to prove what you're saying is real is to bring the old man with you. And it doesn't even occur to them because they have such an innocence and they've never thought about the possibility that someone could be old. They don't know what a grave is. They've never seen someone get buried before.
They don't know what a husband or a wife is.
What does that mean, beloved husband, beloved wife?
Yeah. There's never been a need for a family unit in order to keep society together. It's our robot overlords that are keeping society together.
Presumably, because that's the only conclusion I can draw, because nothing else makes sense. Because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people out there working.
And when they do finally decide to go back, they go back by themselves because, hey, the old man is not going to survive the swim underneath the water and getting out of there and whatnot. He's barely hanging on as it is. But they go and interrogate Logan. And do you feel like they were just reading his mind and there was a kind of a readout of what his brain is projecting? Because they're asking him the questions, but he himself is not saying anything. His brain is like, I don't know, resisting the interrogation?
I don't think he's resisting anything. It's they have like little avatars of himself, and it's what his inner thoughts are. He is answering all the questions, but I think the computer just does not compute. None of this makes sense.
Quote unquote, this is contrary to established facts.
And it literally blows up the computer and the entire city.
Yeah.
Because the computer cannot handle different truths than what it has been told.
The truth will set you free. And when everything is blowing the fuck up, all these people finally go outside to this water fixture and they see the old man. And one of them goes up to him and just touches him. Like, just touches him a little bit. And everybody just surrounds him and just, it's gonna be okay. So, okay, we're kind of wrapping up here, but what do you think happens at the end of this? What happens after this? Do they all go out and separate into this world, or do they all cower in fear back into the dome?
Yes and yes. I think that there are going to be people who cannot survive in this world. They're going to go back into the safety of the dome, even though it's like falling apart, and try to make it work.
Do you think then the robots, if there are any left besides Box, are they going to reveal themselves and say, you all need to get back in here, you need to forget about what you saw?
If they're able to, but you have to be tapped in to do it.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a physical being of a robot. It's not like there was a machine running around except for Box. And he got smashed in the ice caves. So unless you are actually looking into the face, as it were, the metaphorical face of the robot, and just blindly following instruction, then it's going to be a lot harder. You have to fend for yourselves. And I think anybody who is outside those walls and sees this old man will have a sudden burst of the human spirit, if you will.
Yeah. They'll discover their internal explorer, and they'll just head out with no survival skills whatsoever. They're just going to take a chance.
No skills. Full stop. They are babies walking out into the world. But we'll see how they do.
Yeah.
Because there's no people out there unless there are other domes somewhere. But they say there are thousands of them. So I feel like they've at least got a shot.
I think you're right. It is a mix of both. Some of them will go back into the dome and maybe start asking a few more questions than what they were before. Maybe they'll stop doing the ritual sacrifice and maybe also ask, where are these babies coming from?
Again, I think they understand where babies come from in the dome. They don't understand.
That's what I mean.
They don't understand where babies come from outside of the dome.
They need to find out how these babies are being generated, let's say.
I feel like they know. I think they don't know how to make babies outside, so that's going to present an entirely different problem.
Unless all of them are just born sterile. That's another possibility.
Well, then guess what? The human race is doomed.
They're all fucked.
They're all going to die out here.
That right there is the essence of sci-fi. We're all fucked.
And all of the questions that we asked, you might have an answer, and it just also produces another question. Because there's definitely a world here. I think in the little that we saw in this 2-hour movie, we have seen enough to know what we think this world is. But we also have 1,000 more questions of what it could be before the dome explodes and after the dome explodes.
Yeah, there are hundreds of years of history probably in this dome. And I wonder, has anybody been keeping any kind of track of the history of the dome? How much history is outside? Are there literally no people left outside other than Mr. Old Man?
Statistically, it seems improbable.
Yeah.
But I feel like if one guy can survive, somebody else can. You're probably right. Maybe his parents came from the dome. Maybe they escaped. That's the closest place. And they figured out how to make a baby, and they survived having a baby. And he literally says, I've been here my whole life.
Because it's been hundreds and hundreds of years since the calamity, whatever it is, there's so many different possibilities. If there are other domes, are they going through the same thing? Honestly, this also now reminds me, it's not a movie, but the Fallout games and series. The world is ending in an equivalent of the 1950s and 60s, where people have these vaults where they go underground and they have these plans and education systems and water filtration and food growing and all. It's like they have an entire society underground in these vaults. But then eventually people decide they want to leave the vault. What is waiting for them outside? It's the same kind of story.
Someone just has to be the first to find out.
Yeah. And that's what's interesting. I like this. This is good. I like this.
That's the thing about sci-fi. Because it's not just a totally made up, far-fetched story. It is founded in some form of humanity that you can understand. It's just another, what would happen if you put people in this scenario?
Totally. This is a story about humanity through and through.
But that is where we're going to have to leave this story. So we would love to know from you. What do you think of Logan's Run? Do you also have a million questions about this? What are the things that we didn't address? What are the movies that you think of when you watch Logan's Run? Movies that were clearly inspired by the same kind of thinking.
And kind of speaking of that, I mentioned in the intro that there was a guy who was trying to do a remake of this movie. It's not just him. Apparently for decades, as far back in our lifetime as 1997, somebody was trying to do a reimagining of the book starring Leonardo DiCaprio as Logan.
He is too old now. It's not going to happen.
Well, fucking this guy was too old too. He was above 30 too.
The only people who could be in it are his girlfriends.
Oh, that's a joke that will never die. All right, Betsy.
But yes, we would love to hear your thoughts about this movie. Send us an email, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We got an email from our superfan Stephanie about one of the bad movies that we did in our series last month. She sent us an email about Wild Wild West, another movie that abstractly could be defined as sci-fi. Ever so slightly.
Oh,
Ever so slightly.
I'm not getting into that.
All right. She says, I feel like we went to this movie in the theater as a family on vacation. It is not memorable. I have zero memory of the plot, which is crazy because the cast is great. Will Smith was so charming in the 90s and early 2000s. I absolutely love Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh. Salma Hayek is usually solid too. Such potential wasted. However, the song is fantastic and hands down better than Men in Black. Thank you, Stephanie.
Stephanie speaks the truth.
She has the correct opinion. And then she just tells us, as usual, what she's kind of been up to as far as watches. She's been rewatching the Hunger Games movies and various TV shows.
You know, it's the spring. There's not much going on.
It's the downtime. Like once you finish the Oscars, unless you have another big project or a podcast like we do, where do you go from here? You go wherever you want. You have the freedom to choose.
Betsy, if there's anything I have learned in my 40 years on this planet, lately especially, there are no down seasons when it comes to TV and movies.
Not anymore.
There's constantly new stuff coming out.
Well, Trent, remember when we were kids? TV always followed the same schedule. It was basically the school schedule. Started in September, goes through May, and it was like 22 episodes. And they would rerun a few of them throughout. Then in the summer, there was fuck all on TV. Like, I remember being bored to tears when I was home in the summer watching TV because there was never anything new. And then came Survivor. Survivor was the first thing to do it, where they said, we are primo TV, it is brand new, it is summertime, and it is event television that you had to tune into.
Definitely. And that was also around the same time that they also got a really big hit on their hands with CSI. It was Survivor and CSI back to back every fucking Thursday.
But then after that, everybody was like, oh shit, we can put new TV on in the summer?
Yeah.
And now you're right. There's no seasons. You just watch whatever new thing is on right now.
There's so much content constantly being put out there. And I'm to the point in my life that I watch so many movies for this show and all the other shows that we produce on Patreon that I kind of have no time for television, at least new television. I mentioned a while back that I just finished a rewatch of one of my favorite TV shows of all time, The Shield. That was on FX back when FX was really starting the whole game about prestige television. It premiered around the same time that a show like The Sopranos did and Sex and the City and all those HBO shows where they were able to be a lot more daring. FX pushed the limit as far as you could on basic cable. About the only thing that they couldn't do on The Shield is say fuck and have a bunch of naked people, but they pushed the line as far as they could. And again, it's one of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life, but there's been so many other shows that I'm sure a lot of people would say completely surpass The Shield and then some. I just don't know if I have the time and energy to really get into them. Like, I would love to watch Succession. And I would love to watch Severance and all of this other shit that people keep on talking about. We had a conversation about The Pit the other day, starring the one and only Noah Wyle from ER. and it's the same show as ER.
So to speak. It's just on cable, so they're doing more. They're amping it up because they can.
But it's ER crossed with like a show like 24, because that season is one day. Every episode is an hour.
The Pit is?
Yes.
That is news to me.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Well, if you think we should watch one of these TV shows, you can email us neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Or better yet, send us an email telling us you want to watch that show over on patreon.com/neverseenitpod.
We've talked about doing TV over there.
We've talked about it so often, and we just haven't committed the time to doing it. But I know there's got to be something people would enjoy hearing us talk about.
If you want us to do TV, go and sign up on Patreon and tell us what show you want us to do.
That address again is patreon.com/neverseenitpod. A reminder, if you're going to sign up, do it through a browser. Apparently our friends at Apple are not our friends, and if you do it through the store, they will charge you extra for the privilege.
Those fuckers.
You can also find us on social media. If you want to send us a message on any of those platforms, you can find them in the description for this episode and every episode. But Trent, I think that's about going to do it for Logan's Run. However, we have one more week of Sci-Fi Sunday ahead of us this April.
That's right.
What will we be doing for the finale?
Sci-Fi Sunday sequel continues with Blade Runner 2049.
You have been itching to do this since last fall when we did Blade Runner.
Blade Runner was one of my favorites of last year, and yeah, I've been jonesing for this ever since then. That's why we're doing this, guys. It's for Blade Runner 2049.
That's it. That's the whole
thing.
The whole ruse, just as an excuse to watch it.
The finale comes next Sunday.
So until then, we thank you as always for listening. This has been Never Seen It. My name is Betsy.
My name is Trent.
And we'll see you next week.